citizen comments on issues and items not on the agenda.
Approval of the library board members.
Oh, yes, I did. Okay, because I was has everyone had a chance to review the regular meeting of the Wednesday, March 9th library board meeting? Yeah, it has been handed out to us before.
Sorry.
I move the minutes be approved as presented.
Any second? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we can go to the citizen comments from our vast throng here. Nope. Hearing none, we will turn it over to Mo.
Right.
Library Director's Report.
Let's start with the statistics, which I handed to you guys. Our statistical report. And the current month total loans to the public was relatively high compared to like last month, which is going on here. We don't do it that way. But I was hoping that the percentage would be even higher than our typical 80 to 82%. But it would appear that March of every year is quite high because it's spring break month. And so we have a lot of things going on at the library. So we're still running at 80% of what we used to do at the Hilltop, which is, considering the space we're in, that should be very good. Holds are holding steady. We receive about twice as many as we send out, not quite. Our reference and information services numbers have gone up to even surpass the same month last year, and that is because we are tracking them in more depth at each of those desks, and this even included like even each checkout transaction. So, I mean, I can delete those numbers for you, but I just wanted to give you like that's really a good indication at least of the activity that goes on at those desks in a month. No. Which is not the typical checkout area. So it's in addition to. I mean, the figures.
People are at the checkout desk and they're asking a question beyond checking out.
No, they're checking out books and or asking questions.
And we call that a reference information.
Well, I was just tracking every single activity for this month. And I've got the breakout so I can take the checkouts out of there, but I just wanted to show for at least this month how high that was for every single activity. So it's pretty impressive when you think about that. Programs, we had a couple of extra programs because it was spring break month, and I know we had a magic show.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Did you get the reptiles this year?
That's in the summer. Absolutely. And
well, you're not going to take the day off.
yeah. Our programs are getting really great attendance. So we had 2 adult programs last month, a total of 151 adults. So, I mean, one of them was music, and that was about 100 people, and the other one was how to read a book for book club, which, you know, yeah, and they were very well attended. So I'm really pleased at how we're kind of creating this tradition of having programs and people are coming to them. So that's really great.
I think the more important is that you're filling a void that's a need in the community.
You know, it really would appear so, because otherwise not that many people would come, you know. It really appears that, you know, especially for the music programs, that we can really pull them in. So it's important for us to think about, because we can only accommodate so many music programs a year, you know, so it starts becoming this real selection important thing of who we have. So let's see, technical services is just materials added and withdrawn. And volunteer hours, as you will recall, includes the Friends Bookstore. And then the receipts, the total is on the back, and we are running typically these months about $3,000 a month less than we did up at the Hilltop, but I've accommodated for that in the budget. And that's, you know, it's very consistent month to month. So there's that, and in my report, I would like to tell you about we did post some more FAQs about the site selection. They're pretty general, but it does help with staff when people come in and ask, they can at least point them towards something. We print some and then we post them as well. I spoke at the Kiwanis Club of Oregon City, which was really the highlight of the day because they were just a very friendly, welcoming, small group, and it was really, really fun. And I'm out there looking for grants because I'm attending that 3-day workshop in May, which I'm very excited about. So since Beth Scarf up at Sandy got a Myers Memorial Trust grant for like hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know, like 300 or something, I figured that's a good place to start because it was for capital improvements. And so I'm looking at that. And I'm supposed to bring one partially started so that they can help me work on it. So that's perfect. And then I have some ideas for some other smaller
So
businesses.
you're writing your own grants?
Yeah, we don't have a grant writer.
Welcome to Oregon City.
Yeah, we don't have a grant writer.
Just checking.
And that was that workshop that I went to was a minor memorial.
Yeah, and I still have that
So I gave you
material.
those.
Yeah, I still have that material.
It worked.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
More than
Let's see, so upcoming events, speaking of events, tomorrow night, Karen Mori, I put the wrong date on here. Tomorrow night, personally, you can't publish anywhere. We'll be speaking about the Carnegie Library, and we will be doing a little reporting, hopefully, of Carnegie memories at the, we have a little form. People have started filling it out, telling us about their memories of coming to the Carnegie Library. And if we get enough of those, we'll put them together in a little booklet or something. Well, I know Lake Oswego's done something like that, and Multnomah County too, and it turned out really nice if you get enough.
I don't know that Lake Oswego did that.
Yeah, I think I've seen it. Or maybe I'm thinking of something else.
There's a long history of Lake
Yeah.
Oswego exists, but
Whatever. Shouldn't say anything about Lake Oswego. Note to self, never say anything about Lake Oswego. Let Claire say it, because he knows. And then the 28th, Jane Kirkpatrick will be here. It's kind of scary because I've already had a few phone calls that say, I'd like to make a reservation for this event, and I'm like, oh no! You know, so I think we're going to have to turn people away, but we'll have some more people there. Huh?
I better come early.
Yeah, well, we only open the doors at 6:45 because we have to set up and everything, you know, so.
You can help.
Yeah, right. I don't know what that means. We just want, yeah. Then some other things I wanted to tell you about is that we're doing some change-ups in staff duties. So, for instance, one person was doing the website, and I moved that over to our the position that we call technical liaison, because that just seems like, you know, everything else that she was doing had to do with technology and PR, except for the website part. And so it just made more sense to like put that under the person whose hand was already all over that material, you know. So I moved that. Storytime is going to change in June, and we'll talk more about part of that. But Sue Adams, who's been doing that, I'm pulling her completely into the reference room and opening up Storytime to other staff for the summer, and then we'll make a decision on it later as to kind of how it's going to be for the fall. I've been working on the Trail News. Linda's been working on the Trail News. I'm not happy about our attorney bill, so I'm talking with them about that, about the election stuff that they've been working on. I went to OLA last week with the Oregon Library Association. Claire was there. How did you enjoy it?
it was good. I did go to one session about public libraries interacting with the public schools. I got some ideas that we might want to.
Yeah, and one of our staff people went to that too, and just came back just ready to go.
Okay, good.
So, yeah, we've got some energy on that, which will be really good. Let's see here. Some of this stuff I can talk about later. We might be moving our stuff around a little bit up at the Jackson campus, because the school would like to be sure that our materials are as secure as possible, and we also talked to them about our desire to like sort through them and organize them a little bit better. So they are coming up with a proposal that would give us virtually our own room, as well as shelves and tables to work with in the process of sorting. And they came up with this all on their own. I mean, we did not say, I mean, we were willing to sort things on the floor, and they said, no, let's come up with this other system for you guys. And they just have been fabulous to work with. They're so generous, and really have done put in a lot of thought about our materials and keeping them safe for us.
Well, I have a question about that. Are the materials available or are they in storage inaccessible at this point?
They're not really accessible. And so when we organize them and go through them, we might pull some materials out and, you know, depending on how we can organize them and what kind of space we end up with, we might be able to rotate some more stuff in. But right now, that's why we need to go in and organize it better.
Shelves by
No,
the hill, right?
no, they're just in boxes. And the boxes tend to be kind of more or less the same things are in the boxes. But, you know, I mean, the box we need could be like 20 boxes in, and those aren't like 5 boxes high, you know. So, yeah, so we're not going there maybe for a collection or something, we might do something.
We're also totally out of the system.
Oh, really?
They're hidden completely.
They're hidden.
So they don't show up. Yeah.
Stay in.
So you don't really miss them because, yeah.
They do stay in storage, but you can't just hold them, yeah.
No.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, any questions about statistics? All right.
What's the importance of the checkout times?
Well, I'll tell you in a minute.
Oh,
You're
you
getting,
got that
you're
far
getting
yet?
ahead of me.
I
Hold
thought
on.
you were moving on.
No,
Yeah.
not to that.
Okay.
Just because it's next in your file doesn't mean it's quite
Oh,
next in
yeah.
your thing. So the next thing is, Harriet, library facility planning.
Okay. For our library facility planning, we are going to go into executive session.
Yeah. We have to wait for our consultant to figure our file. Sure. But I thought we should,
Community meeting, we're doing the
Yeah.
community meeting.
so I thought we could talk about
Either one.
the idea of, do we want to have a community meeting to discuss sites? And when and where would this be, and how would we set it up?
Finer center and after we nail down the final sites.
Would this not be big enough, do you think?
Yeah.
No.
Finer center works kind of well as our overflow.
Well, the pioneers, that would be nice because we could set up, the one I went to at Gladstone when they were talking about their building design, you know, you can set up kind of different parts of the room, kind of explaining one thing. And so you could have a table that was kind of devoted to one site and then have information about that site there. Have like, a post-it, you know, not a post-it, you know what I'm talking about, the eagle thing, and allow people to write comments or something. You know, I mean, that's the thing, you do want to capture some people's thoughts. If you're going to have public there, you want to have a mechanism to capture their ideas and what they think about each site. But yeah, probably, and so we'll have to talk about how to work that with the consultants, I guess.
We've done several threats over there on all the rivers and ODOT displays and everything. Been over there, and there's a nice flow in the space to do things like that.
That's upstairs in the big main room.
In the main room, yeah.
You gonna say
Are we
something?
going to be narrowed?
Yeah.
Are we just, I think the major thing is, are we going to present them with our final opinion of the site?
I don't know.
And I think that's the decision to make before we do anything else.
I would be down to 3 to 5 positive. We get to make them public sites.
And I think that's why we need to talk to the consultants too, because as you know, I mean, we wouldn't be going into executive session if we could talk about some of these things publicly. So we have to be able to get to that point. But I just wanted to like keep that out there so that we didn't forget that we want to get public input some way, shape, or form, other than the forms that I'll update you on, other than the forms that people continue to turn in to me. You know, because that's just a very small portion of the public, you know.
Right. Can you say a little bit more about how the process went in Gladstone?
Yeah, so this was kind of for a different thing, you know, because it was for like choosing a design.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. So they had they didn't involve the public, or do you know for the
In Gladstone, that was done 10 years ago.
Oh,
And so I don't really know how they did it at that time. I can tell you that there's been recent uprisings against the site that was chosen 10 years ago. Yeah, so much so that the library director really felt like on the spot and gave me the advice of document every step that you take so that if there's ever a problem with this, you'll know how it got decided.
what was the basis of the complaint?
They want, a lot of people want to keep the library downtown. And it's moving closer to a nice wooded area.
It's actually not that far from downtown, but Gladstone is very, very adamant that that little several block core is their core.
That they keep it down
Was there
south.
too long?
So for the design, they had like two areas because they had two designs that focused on the designs, but they also had a couple of different areas that focused on different things about design that you'd want to educate people on just a little bit. So, we could have potentially a table about criteria, like what's important in a library location, because there's a whole list of things that become bigger or less important, more or less important as you for your community, for instance, or that help you make the decision. Like for us, we're looking at size and zoning. Well, other people, just the two front top criteria. And that would be something to explain to people coming into the process. Like, how did we even get as far as we got? So, I think you'd want a table where people could find out some of that stuff and have a couple of people staffing it, each one of these tables. And that's where you guys come in, as well as us, so that you could talk to people and maybe have some questions that you could, ask them or whatever. So, and then we'd want to think about time, and would we want more than one time to hit different maybe populations who might come? These are just, things to think about.
Like a weekday night and a weekend day.
Something like that. And the good thing about Pioneer is it is so close to the library that we could post it at the library and even put arrows or something pointing over there. So that's, we don't need to make decisions. I just want to kind of keep that on the agenda so it's in front of us. Okay, and then visits to other libraries.
Okay. And our first visit to the other libraries is set up for Monday, and we will meet at the library at 9 o'clock. There are 7 of us that are currently scheduled to go, and my van carries 7 people. So if somebody else wants to add their body to
You guys, Lindsay and I down there.
oh no, I counted you.
Oh,
You're part of the 7
okay.
because it's the
All
4 of
right.
us.
The return visit.
Return people.
Why should you say that?
And then we're going to try and do lunch afterwards, right?
Yes, that was one thing that we just came up with. It. We can stop and we can set up the rule before lunchtime, or depending on how much we want to share.
There's a rule on lunch.
Well,
Okay, we're going to Wilsonville first, so then we would want to pick someplace to lunch in Tualatin on the way home.
so we'll be in Wilsonville from 9:30 to 10:30. Then we'll drive to Tualatin, and we'll be in Tualatin from 11 to 12. And then we'll have lunch, and we'll take notes over some of that discussion of things that we thought were important, and then we can send notes to you guys who can't be there, so that you can at least kind of envision what we saw and either get yourself there or, at least look at it online.
I hate to be official, but does that count as a meeting?
Doesn't matter.
I don't think it matters with us.
You don't make decisions.
We're making
Well, I see as far as, we're not making any decisions as far as posting
It's
it.
not really big.
Well, we're taking notes and we're discussing things.
Not really.
Okay.
All right, so we have 5 minutes. How about if we jump to budget?
Okay, the main person that wanted to ask questions of the budget, unfortunately, is not here. Have you heard from Phil?
No, I heard from Laura. She got So, I just gave you guys a budget, but I printed out, one thing that I highlighted what I thought was the items that you might want to
Thank you.
use in this. This makes things a little bit easier. And I also did not do trustees because it is so difficult to read numbers on a backside.
Thank you.
So I know I was not a very good visual person, but I just for the purpose of people. And then I also wanted to share with you this. This is the budget message that is being printed. So you can see what it says. And we'll probably address last year, actually, not this year. I did want to comment on the salaries, because that's a huge chunk of what libraries spend. Salary for next year, this year they were a total of, this is still the expected figure, of course, we don't have issued figures yet. But if you look on page 2, total personal services, the third column over is the estimate of what we will expend this year, so that's the 941, 831. And then for next year, it's 978, 797. And what that reflects is basically a flat salary, a flat personnel level. Nothing's really changing hugely over there. But there will be some increases in benefit costs, medical costs. And then this is an estimate, the COLA is put in there, and then estimate for merit raises. And we may not get merit raises, but David Wimmer has to add those in. So, that may not end up being the final figure, but he has to add them in as an estimate, so.
You're saying people may not be getting merit raises, but you have to budget for
I
them.
have to budget for them.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Even at these numbers, would you consider that kind of a flat?
I do consider it pretty flat.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to let you know a little bit about the staffing. Just because it's more or less flat doesn't mean we're not changing things around. So since we came down from the hilltop, when we moved here, like 2 of our part-time people didn't come with us, and 1 of them left since then, and I predict another one will leave too. So that's probably a total of about 100 hours, no, maybe not that much. It's less than 20 hours a week, let's say 15, 60 hours a week. We've reduced staff. Just in like we call them on-call when they're temporary like that, but they have a regular schedule. So a lot of that was like shelver type of situation, and we have less to shelve and less to shelve and stuff like that. So I just don't want Matt to be hanging out there. So that's kind of a good thing that some of these people actually self-selected, and it worked out really well because we had less to do. Let's see here. One of our part-time reference librarians will be going full-time at her other job starting in June. So one of our other, I know, isn't that amazing? I can't believe it. One of our other various part-time, hi there. One of our other part-time reference librarians will be taking her shift. She's been covering for Sue while Sue does story time, so it worked out beautifully that this will all happen about the same time. So we'll get a fewer hours a week because of that change up in reference librarian pay, which is kind of a high rate pay. But we're probably going to end up putting her on a special project up at Jackson of helping go through the books because she's really good at that. So at least while that project exists, she may get a few more hours a week. Let's see here. Last year, we actually increased 2 positions from temporary to permanent. So even with the added benefits that they got, because of all the shifting we've done, their salary hasn't gone up that much. So we've actually done pretty well. And sometime in the near future, probably towards the end of next year, I'd seriously like to consider hiring a youth librarian and somehow squeezing somebody in that building because I want that person in place before we build the building, and we really need that position. That's the children and teen focus that we really need. Not that we're doing a bad job, we're not doing a bad job, but we can just build so much. And that also would help with the school liaisoning, all that stuff, it would help so much. Especially getting another professional in the building would be. So, and that would probably be management level, I think. But we have to discuss a lot of this yet. And then in the future as well, one of the other things we're probably going to end up doing is pre-processing, which means that everything will more or less come to us ready to go right on the shelf.
Ooh.
And so that will mean less work in technical services. And technical services is kind of an evolving area out of the library. And so the hours that are devoted to that now will be shifting to other tasks.
How does that happen, Mo? Is that because you order right from library suppliers as opposed to going to Costco, or?
Well, yeah, but I mean, we order right from library suppliers now, but they order, they have a wide range of services that we can buy from them, and one of them is pre-processing, and a lot of libraries say, we'll do our own in-house processing. You know, we employ somebody like 15 hours a week to do that. And, you know, she may be leaving, and it just feels like it just puts things on the shelf faster. And, you know, it just saves handling and steps, you know, and you have to work through this, like, really interesting profiling process with them to make sure they do it exactly how you want it. But then once you're done with that, then everything is ready to go. And we're going to start down that road anyway. Okay. Yeah. And then, okay, so that's just half, if you don't mind bearing with us, I'm getting through the budget here. So okay, good. And if he's not out, that door locks at 5, so we need to, like, listen for banging or whatever. All right. So that's basically the total personal services, which, like I said, is a big chunk of the budget. And on the next page, did I not print the income? I can't believe it.
No, it's all outcome.
So last time I gave you all the income. This time I gave you all the expenditures. Together, they make a budget. Yeah, I can talk about the income. So anyway, as we go on, the next page 3, there's the first yellow line has $200,000 in it. The one below that's yellow has 150, and the one below that has 50. So that's $400,000 that I've set aside for my operating budget to put towards design, project manager, whatever we need to do to, like, get us going down that road this year. That money is there. If you keep going down, you will notice there is a figure of $750,000. That is being transferred into our building reserve fund, which already has almost $500,000 in it. And that is money that will be dedicated for capital purchases. So if there's a piece of land that we need to buy, we have about $1.2 million already set aside.
Is that all district money, or is some of that general fund?
Some of that, the stuff that's already in there is general fund. The city's contribution for the last 2 years, I'm sorry, it's 390 years. City's contribution for the last 2 years, starting there. And then this is our contribution, that money we have not expended from our operating funds.
So are we getting general fund contribution to that savings account too this year?
That includes that.
Okay, that's.
I mean, the money that's on a different page because it's general fund money.
Gotcha. Okay.
But the total of it from last year and this year is $398,000. That's like waiting in the capital reserve fund for this to join it together and make whatever, and it's waiting to buy or build or whatever we want. So it's nice to know that there's already money there. And then that bottom, that last line, contingency, that's the estimate of the leftover after all that. So we still have a cushion, which is why I think that we could afford to pay for bonds annually. This is why. You know, I mean, I know our costs will change, but this is part of why, which I will still do a sheet on that, Brian. I haven't forgotten. So if you look at the very last page, there is a figure, not highlighted, that comes to $2,789,772. That is my entire income for this year, but let me break it down a little. 900 and something of that is the carryover.
So I was going to ask.
750 of the carryover is what we just discussed, okay? So what I'm getting from the district is just under $1.8 million. It's like 1,775 something. That's an estimate for next year. It might go down because they're estimates. This year's income did go down a little bit, like $70,000. Enough to where it can hurt if you're counting on every penny. You know what I mean? So our income is the district income at $1.8 million. Our fines money that we talked about that you get a report for every month that I estimate at $42,000 total. We get a little bit of money in dividends, and then we have the money that comes in but goes straight to the capital reserve fund from the city, and that's about $200,000 annually. So that's what makes up that $2,789,000. And you guys, actually, I did send you already the budget figures, and it did include expenditures and income. So you do have that. I always forget when I'm doing Excel, I always forget to punch and tab when I'm doing things and whatever. I was so proud of the highlights that I just, got very excited. So, are there any questions on Oh, and I also want to let you know that I put money aside for legal fees and election fees. So that's already kind of covered, although legal fees can grow amazingly fast. And then some of the other things that we just put in as far as operating expenses, we either increase them or decline them, or decrease them, depending on this year's experience. And we also added a few lines just to help us track things a little bit better. So you might see some changes in there, and really, it's not like it's a lot more money, it's just, that tweaking that you do. Does that sound like it sounds?
Somebody's like, that was the
Oh, okay, all right. So, any questions? I can help you answer. This is not your last opportunity. You have access to me 24/7.
And the Davids like this?
The Davids like this very much.
okay, that's an important test.
Yeah, they did. They did. All right. So we're waiting for David Reinhardt. That's fine. That's fine. Let's keep going, because the more we get done, then the sooner, and I know Kathy's just fascinated by this. Sorry you left work early to hear about all this. So the next topic I wanted to talk about was the possible decrease of hours. And I did give you, increase of hours, that's a shame. Yeah, I did give you a handout, and I can't find mine. Hold on. It starts with checkouts per hour since July. On the top of that? Yeah, this is the one you were asking about. And, we've had, like, many people ask us if we couldn't open at 10 a.m. We have people waiting outside our door by 10:30 or earlier.
If I was an early goer, if you were open early, I might get going earlier.
So, what I thought I would do is, just kind of see what our activity is, on the nights that we're open late until 8 o'clock. So, see if it's really worth staying open. So what I did, we're open from 11 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. And so what I did, and these look like ginormous numbers of, checkouts. Those are the, averages for like the entire time since we've been at the Carnegie. And I thought that would be like kind of a good way to look at it, just since we've been at the Carnegie, because that's going to be the traffic flow that we have. So you can see that from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Mondays, our average checkout for that entire time was 4,750 checkouts. For the last 2 hours of the night on Mondays, the average dropped down to 2,655, which is a huge drop. And then just in the last hour alone, the average is 2,503. On Tuesdays, the average is higher. Tuesday is a very busy day. And the average is 5,382. But during the last 2 hours of night, it drops to 2,861. And the last hour is only 2,405.
Do I interpret this right, that most of the business is in the last hour and there's hardly anything?
No,
No,
the other way.
that's the other way around.
Okay.
But in the last hour at night, we do about half of the business that we do.
Per hour,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
not over 7 hours of this.
Yeah, no, it's per hour during those times, I'm sorry.
But this is 2 hours here, so that.
Yeah, there's one of them that's an average for 2 hours, and then the last column is the average for just that last hour of night. So actually, during the last 2 hours of night, from 6 to 8, we slow down radically. And then, if you look at Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, where we're open from 11 to 6, we average, around 4,000 or 5,000 all day long. And then in the evening, we still have the same average, so that the business is very consistent during the day. And then on Sunday, it even picks up during the last hour of the day. We're open from 12 to 5 on Sundays. So does that kind of make sense? Like on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, from 6 to 8, our business is cut in half as far as checkouts. So then we also wanted to look at, how many people are in the building? And we, this is kind of hard to read, I'm sorry. Downstairs, there's only an average of 1 person an hour downstairs. And upstairs, there's a higher average. It's about 15 per hour. I know, which kind of, but they're mostly sitting at computers, which is, you know, that's valid use. So what I would like to propose is that on Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, instead of saying open till 8 a.m., we close at 7. So we still have some time, that's evening time and after work for people to get in. But it's not, you know, staying up until 8. And then opening 6 days a week at 10. So we would add 6 hours, delete 3 hours, and we would have a net gain of 3 hours per week of hours at the library, which bumps us from 53 hours a week open to 56 hours a week. We're shooting for 60. It's like we're at threshold in the next, or whatever those levels are in OLA, we would need the middle threshold at 60. So that just gets us 3 hours closer to being at that level for our size group.
Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7? And Sunday?
No. Monday through Wednesday, 10 to 7.
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 10 to 6.
6.
And then Sunday the same, 12 to 5. So I want to find out from you guys what you think, because I'm ready to shift hours starting in June, the beginning of June, because that's kind of a nice coincidence of lots of things happening. And if we did that, the other thing that it would impact is story time. Right now, we're doing story time at 11:15 in the morning, which is really late for little guys. But if we open at 10, we do story time at 10:15. And in the fall, we might even pick up like another day of story time for preschoolers, so that we would get all the populations that go to preschool on different days. You know, they go like Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And we'd have 2 days so that they could come to story time. So I think our story times would just be like go sky high if we were open early enough to have story time at a time when you guys could actually make it through that time. So, I mean, I think it's worth trying. And then we could do the same charting of statistics. I mean, I have amazing access to statistics. It's incredible.
I think it's great. I think it'd be a big improvement.
Same start time for your staff then?
No, they start at different times depending on what they do.
Okay.
You know, like the circulation person that's there, 1 or 2 people, they have to like get all the holes and try and check them in so that they're available for the people to come, you know. I mean, you know, we have somebody who does that, who's a fanatic and tries to get it all done before we open the doors, which she's not going to be successful at from here on out if we open at 10. But, she needs to come in early, like at 8 or something, 8:30, get as much done as possible. So, it depends on staff duty, what they're there
So
for.
I think normally the Pioneer Center at 9:45, I think it is, or 8:45, before 9 o'clock. There's always lights on in the Carnegie, so I assume somebody's already working, right?
Yeah, you drive by there at night, there's lights on too.
Yeah.
It's pretty well lit place. Yeah, that's just the way it is. That's what stays on at night. Yeah.
I wondered, because at about
You
10
know, all those
o'clock one night,
burglars.
I was kind of like, what?
Yeah.
Do you need some kind of formal action from us?
Well, I would love to get a motion from you guys to
I
approve
move,
it.
I move that we do these hours.
Starting when? Be specific.
Yeah, starting in
The
June.
first,
June 6th.
June 6th?
yeah.
How's that?
Good day.
A second? Okay. Any discussion?
All in favor? Oh, sorry.
All in favor? All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
I do have one question. So on the proposed budget, you're calculating 53 hours or 56 hours?
Actually, this is a good question. I have calculated 53 hours. So we'll have some slight shifts in that.
And would there be a big reason not to just look to propose 60 hours for this upcoming year so you could actually budget for it if that's the goal?
I think we would be pretty tight on staff if we did 60. I would like to grow into that if I could. So how about youth librarian, 60 hours a week, and a new building, I don't know, I mean, before that. But maybe when we get that next year, when we start planning for the youth librarian or something, that might be a really good time.
Before we go into executive session, would you like to say anything about the
Yeah,
brochure?
just really quickly. You have a draft brochure in front of you. Kathy, I'm so sorry, we have materials over here that go all the way across the hall. This is just a draft. We don't have any kind of welcome brochure at this moment. Ingrid Aubrey from the Friends has said that she will look at this today with Ryan on. But she said that she would look at everything. And, we just need to have something that I can either bring places that I go, that we can put out to friends, that we can hand to people that when they come in, something that's a little more welcoming than our like behavior policy, you know? So I just had one of the staff put this together as starters, and this is kind of the content she came up with. And if you have any, comments about what should be in it, or, we can change the look of it. I mean, this is.
Do we want to, it's nice to show this is where the library is, but then again, it's like really identifying
We actually
this
thought of that
library.
today quite a bit too. I don't know. Let's think about that.
On,
There for quite a couple of years.
on our Friends brochure, we put temporary.
The temporary home.
We
of
put the
Oregon City
temporary home of the
Library.
Oregon City Library.
That might be something to do.
We were very adamant that we wanted to say temporary home.
I don't know that I would have patron confidentiality. You open it and that's like sort of your eye goes to the back side like that's.
That's a good point.
I mean, it's an important issue.
We can put it on the back or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to do anything about your partners, with the
Like the
library
Friends and the library board.
and the foundation?
Yeah.
Or, it could be only a couple statements. We're supported and partnered with.
And there are bookstores down the street.
Well, we're gonna have a brochure, yeah.
Like we have our new poster on the bulletin board out there as of about a half hour ago, because I finally carried it across the street.
Great comment. So you guys just email me with any other comments that you have, because I want to kind of get it in a format that, that Ingrid can work with, so that she's not dealing with all the content changes and stuff. All right, are we ready to go back to our?
Going to turn us off?
Do you read something? Or?
I read it and I get in. Okay. We are a little bit of it before we adjourn. Wouldn't that be about where we'd be?
Yeah, and you know what I'd like to do is, let you know that I got a lot out of it. I spent an entire day at a pre-conference on branding the library. A lot of discussion about what we're going to do as a huge business and profession and what we can do individually. And I'd really like to write up my notes on that. I got started, but I didn't have time to finish. And then I'll send them to you guys, and maybe we can have some ongoing conversation about that, because it really elicited all kinds of ideas, as well as just some organizational review of things like even our mission that I would love to, start undertaking. But I have to be careful about kind of the order in which I do things and how much I try and do at once, because we're trying to do all this other stuff. So. But I think there's many years of work ahead for me. And I'd love to get some ideas on marketing the library from you. So that's what I'll stick with that for now. Claire might have something to say.
Oh, I don't really.
Okay.
Should we go to a quick Friends of the Oregon City Library report?
Bookstore
And
income.
announce we're reconvened.
Go ahead, say it.
We are reconvened from our executive session.
Bookstore income for the month of March is $3,475.47, but the Friends income for the month of March is $166.45, and we had 315.8 volunteer hours in March. Thank you.
Library Foundation report. The taxes are done. We have some money in the bank. And I think
Continue to work and meet.
continue to work and meet. But what's really nice is 2009 and 2010, all the reports and taxes are in mail, money attached, accountant paid for, we're in business.
We're meeting next week. Foundation,
The 27th?
2 weeks, yeah, right.
Any new business or library board member reports? I have a report. I am flying out to Europe on the 26th, so I will not be back until May 17th, and I will probably be awake and able to function by the 19th.
And can you get a hold of you by email during that time?
You gotta be kidding. We do not do email, we do not make calls home, we need that a rule about when we started traveling about 25 years ago. They have emergency numbers to reach us. That's it, we're on vacation. Anyhow, next regular meeting date will be May 11th, 2011, and the vice chair.
On May 11th, I just learned today that this room has been reserved for part of the event surrounding the grand opening of the Jug Handle project, which is the big, And so I need to find out more what that actually means, but we may need to meet somewhere else or change our date, so I'll get back to you guys on that.
Maybe a week later on May 18th when she's back.
We can do that.
Except that would be running right into, city commission.
Mission would be that night. I know.
Your calluses on your bottom would be very thick, starting at 2:30 and going to midnight.
The other issue is if a report has to be made or anything, there may have to be a brief special meeting called in either
Exactly.
the late this month or early next month. So I would say we are kind of up in the air.
Yeah,
So our next meeting date is,
To be announced.
we announced.
EBA.
That sounds good.
Anything else that needs to be touched upon? And I declare the meeting adjourned.
Let's see, we have to,
Can we bug out